Is the Warhammer Attack Titan about to smash every Titan? So what's up guys, Foxen here. Time for the Attack on Titan Chapter 116 follow-up discussion. Before we start, be sure to give a colossal thumbs up, and do check out my Patreon page for the new perks. From now on, I'm going to be starting a live stream for members now. Link down below. So before getting to your questions, a lot of juicy topics to get to. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me start this off by bringing up Rogue Eren, specifically Eren's Titan transformation. I've seen so many confused about this, saying that Eren's Titan transformation was starting from the top, just like the Warhammer Titan. But actually, what made the Warhammer Titan so special was a Titan forming from the bottom up, feet first. Eren even explicitly pointed this out during the battle too. So if you're really basing this on the one panel shot, then really nothing Warhammer Titan-like was seen here. If anything, it's a complete opposite. Although, let's really just wait to see how the anime does it. Right now, there's too much steam and light in that panel shot. Either way, I'm predicting Isayama's gonna tease your tidbits about this next chapter. You know how he is. Next up, let's actually talk about Eren using the Warhammer Titan powers. How well would he actually be able to use this stuff? Let's just suppose that Eren did get access to some of the Titan memories, which is most likely anyway. But still, this guy has no practice using the Warhammer Titan crystal bending abilities. Even worse, definitely no experience using this stuff in actual battle or combat. I'm predicting this will be one of the restrictions Isayama uses in this Titan battle. One of the things I do want to see is Eren going into this Warhammer Titan mode. If that does happen, will he be fully plugged into the ground inside of that Titan crystal? That would be a huge restriction on him, especially because it really just leaves him open to the jealous Titan biting that thing. Next up, let's bring up Armin. Was Armin fake crying? That really seems to be the popular thing going around. Should Armin get the Best Actor award, at least from the scouts? To be honest, I did consider it at first, that Armin was possibly doing this as a way to actually escape, maybe get close to Yelena. But instead I chose not to say anything. I'm not sure whether a lot of you are really trying to paint Armin as being too dark. That being said, why not both? Just knowing Armin, he would be touched by the mention of all of these events, especially the discussion. At the same time, the dark mastermind Armin could be using his own feelings for his advantage to plus the crying effect. In other words, really just taking advantage of your own feelings. So, was it a complete Armin act? This I doubt. Much like most things in Attack on Titan, it's very likely a mixture of both. That being said, too bad that Armin got interrupted. He didn't get to fully use his chance to win over older sister Yelena. Next up, let's talk about the last member in the trio, Micasa. So there's actually been a lot of talk about Micasa not wearing her scarf anymore. Was this jail cell just too warm? Is the scarf now falling apart that Eren smashed Micasa? But really, after what happened with Eren just wrecking her, I can't say I'm too surprised. Right now, I am 50-50 as to whether Isayama's doing this on purpose or really just a misdirect. Right here, just look at this scarfless Micasa. She's looking so out of it in a daze. In the official release, it's much clearer. It's clear to see that Mikasa is very much processing what to do next. On top of that, Mikasa's face is really giving that look of dread that was all too common in Attack on Titan Season 1. By the way, side note about this, has Mikasa been washing that thing, the scarf? It probably smells totally funky, just like Eren right now. Next up, let me talk about the stallion. I do have to quickly clarify what I mentioned in my review. In this chapter, you could clearly see the stallion very much still siding or having some hope for Eren. This guy is definitely not bringing up Eren's mental state for nothing. So yeah, that old buddy is still believing in Mr. Eren Yeager. And just knowing Armin, that guy should have already been thinking something similar. And for Mikasa, in case she hasn't already reached a similar conclusion, she's gonna be getting to where Jean is right now. Right now, I'm really predicting that these guys will end up helping Eren in this battle, even though he would totally not expect it at this point. Keep in mind, you did see the shot of the 3D maneuver gear in this building this chapter. Isayama definitely put that there for these guys conveniently to take soon. Next up, let's talk about the other Yeager brother, Zeke. So Zeke is most likely going to be this latecomer inside of the battle. And you know Zeke, he's definitely going to hear what's happening from afar. So I see this guy using this to his advantage, which I definitely can't wait to see what stunt he pulls. On that note, the Beast Titan. Keep in mind the Beast Titan's throwing ability. This Titan could totally pop those blimps out of the sky. As for actual combat, the Beast Titan versus the Jaws Titan. This would actually probably give him the most problem just due to his speed and his offense claw or jaw ability. Versus the Armor Titan, Zeke has already busted this guy like a nutcracker. That would be an easy win. And then finally versus the Card Titan. To be honest, this should be no real issue. Peak right now doesn't even have her gun support, which she might actually get. Let's see if they drop something from the blimp. At best, Peak right now could catch these guys by surprise. At worst, she could keep on running away to distract them. But really, Eren and the Beast Titan really just need to land one hit to kill this poor puppy. It'd be like kicking a chihuahua. And just picturing Zeke meeting Peak in the battle, that should be extremely spicy. I cannot wait. Also, here's a side thing to notice. Zeke, also known as the Beast Titan, should be able to use his almighty roar pretty soon. Once again, just a perfect opportunity to get mindless titans back into the story. Do I smell this mindless titan earthquake coming up? You could definitely bet on it. And who knows, these titans transforming could even help out the scouts to escape. Next up, switching into the warrior side, let me bring up the Armored Titan. The key question for this guy is that, does the Armored Titan even stand any chance at all? I mean, Eren already killed him a few times, and extra time if we actually count that last smack in the face in the attack on Marley too. Meanwhile, the Beast Titan has already given the Armored Titan a beatdown 4 years back. Which really just means, does Reiner and the Marley guys have some secret plan prepared? Otherwise, history is really just going to repeat itself again. Since unless Reiner has something planned, something dirty, the Armored Titan is really just going to walk in or jump into his funeral. And that's really the main question, will the plot Armored Titan go down? This time it's going to be the plot Armored Titan versus someone with a bigger plot armor, potentially, which is Zeke recently. Either Eren or the Beast Titan will finally be able to crack the Armored Titan in 2 pieces, no problem. It'll be like bending a churro in half. Next up, let's talk about Yelena and Historia's baby daddy. Unsurprisingly, this topic keeps on coming up. Who is actually the father? This chapter, Yelena thinking back to Historia is really bringing up the question again. Couple things to keep in mind here. For one, Yelena did state that Historia's child was a blessing. You've already seen how much Yelena just worships Titan shifters like the Beast Titan. But who else was Yelena a colossal fan of? That's right, Eren's attack Titan. Wouldn't that be a blessing? Since obviously the father cannot be Zeke, the chances of who's the father really point towards Eren right now, having the highest possibility. So yes, Eren's in the top spot to be the baby daddy for Historia's kid. However, there's also another equally high possibility, that even if Eren is not the father, that Historia got pregnant due to his plan, and then by extension Historia being fully on board with Team Yeager. In other words, it really all goes back to Eren, whether or not Eren actually gave Historia a parting gift. Next up, let me talk about 2 panel shots, the first one being an Eren panel, which was actually a slight change to something vague in the official translation. Eren speaks about not trusting that other woman. Previously, Eren supposedly mentioned Gabby being the one that didn't trust Pieck. So who is this other woman? Right now in the Attack on Titan story, that other shady woman that we really don't know too much about is of course Kyojin. It definitely isn't a surprise that Eren wouldn't be trusting her. And then just really quickly, this panel shot of Mr. Jaws hiding in the crowd. Pieck was definitely signaling this guy to get ready for her little act. These guys definitely planned it out. And then the final thing before your questions is, let me mention Levi and Hunchy. Unfortunately, as you saw this chapter, no update for these guys. And just on Isayama, we were really all expecting something like this. He's really just going to keep us at the edge of our seats for a while. I'm betting that at best, Isayama's going to be only dropping teasers of these 2, vague ones. Why hello there guys, Jerry coming to you from somewhere in Tokyo. Let me just go ahead and give a huge thank you to all Patreon supporters. If you're just tuning in, keep in mind I'm now doing this YouTube thing full time, which really just means I'm going to be relying on a lot of you so I don't end up on the streets somewhere in Japan. Which, actually that wouldn't be that bad, it is Japan. Anyway, go ahead and check out my Patreon page down below. Keep in mind I did add a new Patreon tier that's going to be for the $5 tier, which involves a monthly Q&A live stream. That should be a lot of fun, so go ahead and check that out. First Patreon question from T. Smith. Do you think Zeke is going to show up just in time to help out Eren? He does have the 3 Titans, but it looks like he might be at a disadvantage against 3 other Titans and the Marley army. They might have some trick up their sleeves this time. So yes, in the latest chapter you actually had the Jaws Titan failing again to be useful and actually devouring Eren. But to be fair, Pieck also screwed up by not actually shooting Eren in the fricking head. Now from this Titan battle, at least from the pieces we have on board, it's going to be Eren versus 3 Titans. The thing is, without Levi in the story, we're all assuming that Eren is the most powerful player in the Attack on Titan story right now. Eren has the Attack Titan, Founding Titan, and Warhammer Titan. Let's say if Eren was actually going one-on-one versus all of these Titans, just with the Attack Titan. Versus the Card Titan and Armor Titan, that fight goes to Eren. Versus the Jaws Titan, Eren would put up more of a struggle, but in the end I do see him winning. But now things get interesting, you have all these 3 Titans versus Eren at the same time. Also keep in mind Marley in the air. So right now the biggest question is how well Eren could actually use the Warhammer Titan abilities in battle. If he sucks at using them, he may be in trouble, which we definitely should see next chapter. Right now I'm really just going to assume that Eren does have some ability to control the Warhammer Titan powers in battle with his Attack Titan, and if that's the case, Eren should have the advantage. The only way I do see Eren losing if they do catch this guy by surprise. Ultimately, if that does happen, I do think the Armored Titan will be involved in some type of suicide move, just to take out Eren. But just knowing Reiner, this guy's gonna fail at killing himself. Next question up from Kashmir Fox. Eren threw away his friends while Pieck has put all her trust into hers. What do you think this means for the story going forward? That right there is some very interesting commentary on the Attack on Titan story. Presumably Eren is putting some sort of act just to keep his friends away, to keep them safe, supposedly. On the other hand, now that Marley has been destroyed and you have new people in power, Marley has actually banded closely together. For this, I actually do have to give Isayama a lot of credit for actually fleshing out Marley so much. I mean, in the latest chapter when I saw Reiner at the end, I was actually rooting for this guy a bit. I do want to see how this turns out. Cause really, if you think about it, Reiner and Eren really started almost in the exact same spot, just in different spots around the world. Where the Attack on Titan story is right now, before the time skip, Eren and these guys were so close together. But as time went on, these guys grew further apart. And then your supposed enemies just got closer together, especially after the attack on Marley. At the end of the day, it really just screams amazing storytelling for Isayama. Next question from Distract Enemies. Besides the Armor Titan vs Attack Titan round 3, will Reiner go look for Annie or send another person to find her? So for this question, I think it's something I touched on my actual review and definitely on my last video. Unfortunately, Annie right now has not been significant for the story for what, so many chapters? I think chapter-wise the last chapter we saw her was chapter 35. So it's been like 70 chapters since Annie has actually been relevant. Not counting the frozen Annie we saw a few chapters back. Right now, Marley and the Warriors should not be concerned about Annie at all. Just think about it, what exactly would they gain from being distracted by going and getting Annie? They don't even know if she's battle ready at this point. It could also potentially take days or weeks to actually get to Annie's location. So right now the main focus should really just be taking out Eren. After that, you have all the time in the world. For them to worry about Annie right now would be like someone trying to set off a nuclear explosion. But then you have someone asking over here, should we put out the fire in this building over here? So yes, the fire or Annie, they're not priority right now. Next question from Infamous Chili. Do you think in chapter 117 Eren will bring back the flaming berserk mode from the season 1 anime? Really missing that design. You guys would actually be surprised, but I get so many questions about this weekly. The thing you have to keep in mind is that if Isayama really wanted to make this canon, he already had like what, 70-80 chapters to do so, and he hasn't done so. As far as I know, Isayama has never even mentioned this rage mode for the anime. He hasn't given any thoughts about it. Which really just means I would probably suggest not waiting around for this thing. I'm pretty sure that the Withstood is also gonna just ignore this. Next question up from Spark the Cake. When Eren locked up all his friends in the cell, do you think it is able to withstand what conflict will happen next between the Jaws and maybe Armor Titan? Or will it be similar to what the female Titan did at Trostas? So for this is actually building on something I mentioned earlier. Either Zeke is gonna roar in the background, then the mindless Titans are just gonna smash this building, which will allow the scouts to escape. Or there's the other high possibility that during this Titan battle, this building is just gonna get wrecked. I mean, it already partially has with the Jaws Titan biting through it. Just knowing Eren, he should have locked his friends deep underground, partially to neuter the armored Colossal Titan. Either way, some Titan destruction is most likely gonna be how the scouts escape. Last Patreon question from Malachite. Will Annie have a chance to be let out during the next chapter now that the rest of the shifters are on the island with the Jaws Titan that may have the ability to break her out? So yes, technically the Jaws Titan has the ability to break crystal, at least it's the only confirmed Titan that could right now. So two parts about this. I'm not exactly sure how precise you can be with that crystal breaking ability. Potentially you could kill Annie in the process. So for this alone I would say that's way too risky. About Annie herself coming into the battle, I already mentioned that it shouldn't be priority for the Warriors to go out seeking Annie right now. However, we're so close to the very end of Attack on Titan. We still have the estimate that Attack on Titan is going to end on chapter 130, which is 14 chapters, roughly a year left. Potentially if this is the final Attack on Titan battle, which is most likely the case, how exactly will Isayama bring in the final Titan into the battle? Does he even want to do that? Previously on the Attack on Marley, we already had a glimpse of this final all-out Titan war. I think now we're definitely going to get the full onslaught. The only problem is that we still have one Titan missing. Where the hell is a female Titan? And that will actually be a huge thing that Isayama has to overcome. Will Annie and the female Titan actually have this important enough role to justify being frozen all this time? I gotta say that I'm highly doubting it. But let's see if Isayama could actually pull this off. Anyway, let's now get into your Twitter questions. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and tweet me your question for a chance for me to answer your question. Guaranteed question, by the way, for Patreon supporters. If you do enjoy my monthly anime videos and don't want me to end up on the streets blowing a dude, support me going full-time on Patreon. I just added a new $5 tier that includes monthly access to a live stream. That's gonna be fun, and you definitely don't want to miss out. First question from Peace. Do you think Eren will use Zeke's spaceball throwing move to take out the aircrafts? But this time the only difference will be that instead the random stones will be his own created Titan crystal balls. I think that will look cool. Ah yes, right now Marley came in and they have the full army. Right now you actually do have a few possibilities to take out the fricking blimps. Let me first mention the oddball. Don't forget about the Colossal Titan nuke, or just the Colossal Titan in general. I think that thing is large enough to just swat those things out of the sky. Although honestly, low chance on that. Now for Zeke's Beast Titan. Will this guy just baseball the blimps out of the air? You actually heard me mention this is a good possibility. The thing is, I'm not sure why you would waste mindless titans like that, when you could just pick up pieces of the building which are made of stone in this area. Don't waste mindless titans like that. And then the third option is really just Eren using the Warhammer Titan. That thing created a crossbow in the past. It was just seen briefly, which is odd. I think that was really Isayama just setting the pieces aside for later. Let's see if Eren could use that. Next question up from Kevin. In the jail cell, Horseboy tells Mikasa of Eren's sound of mind that he wouldn't have done what he did to her without a reason. Then Mikasa has a strange look on her face. Could the stallion end up helping Mikasa realize there's a secret reason why Eren did that to her and Armin? So a couple things about this. First off, Mikasa has had a strange look for a while inside of the jail cell. And the second part, I think you're really not giving Mikasa enough credit here. Do you really think Mikasa at this point really needs someone else to tell her that potentially Eren is doing this for some other reason? I think that's really just discounting Mikasa short. On the other hand, it could be the stallion giving support to Mikasa. I think that's definitely a higher possibility. Next question up from JJ's. Because the final battle between Eren and the Marley Warriors has begun, but Zeke is nowhere to be seen. Does that mean we could get Eren versus Zeke as a true final battle when Eren backstabs Zeke, revealing his true intentions? So a couple things about this too. Zeke isn't around right now, but you definitely know he's on his way back. He should be arriving any minute. So is it possible at one point we do get Eren versus Zeke? The thing is, we have seen the Beast Titan get smashed so many times so far. Do we really need to see it again? If it's Eren at 100% versus Zeke, you know who's gonna win. No problem. On the other hand, I do see Eren going against Zeke in some form. Although, if you're expecting something shonen-like, I'm sorry, I really don't think that's gonna happen, unfortunately. Next question up from Ankur. Just clear me up that how many times did Eren fight with Reiner? Well, it really depends on how you're counting this. Didn't these guys technically spar as scouts? We saw these guys fight in Season 2, they're going to be fighting in Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2. Eren technically punched Reiner in the attack on Marley, but I really don't consider that a fight. Hell, Reiner wasn't even battle ready at that point. He was barely standing. So at least officially the Attack Titan vs Armor Titan, I would say this is round 3. Although the battle still hasn't even started. Let's see how Reiner approaches his final battle. Next question up from Moon and Ass Emoji. All the Titans are in the same place except Annie and also Zeke. Do you think he'll show up to the fight? And not at all take a detour to look for Annie or Historia or just something else while the fight goes on. So yes, everyone is wondering so much about Annie. She's technically the only one missing. Zeke right now technically is not inside of the city or district, but you know from the previous chapter that he's on his way there. Right now, no one in the story has any reason to go look for Annie. Historia, on the other hand, maybe Levi or Hunchy are heading towards her location. We'll see what happens. Next question out from a retired fighter. Do you think that Isayama wasted Annie's character and her storyline? Do you think she might get a spin-off series? So about the spin-off series, you do know about Annie's Lost Girl story. She technically already has one, which does have a novel, manga, and now anime version of it. As to whether Isayama wasted Annie's character, if you've been watching a while, you know how I feel about Annie. She was definitely a top character and really worth fleshing out more, and overall just had so much potential. Unfortunately, if Attack on Titan is ending in 14 chapters, I don't see how Isayama could actually do Annie justice at this point. So at least right now it is looking like most likely Annie will be wasted on this Attack on Titan finale. On the flip side, ultimately Isayama has gotten us this far in the Attack on Titan story. So at least personally I'm going to be waiting to see what he does with her. Let's hope it's something significant. Next question up from Tirami Cat. What on earth did Eren use to cut himself to transform? He must have some sharp fingernails because I saw no blade or special ring like Annie. So for this, just keep in mind Eren did actually cut himself twice, once in that jail cell and now when they went outside. The thing about Eren cutting his finger is that they actually cut to that. In other words, Eren could have cut himself in so many multiple ways. At the end of the day, does it really matter? Suppose that Eren didn't cut himself. The Jaws Titan still actually wounded him, so Eren would have been able to go Titan mode anyway. Next question out from Hanji Zo. Do you think that Isayama's gonna kill Peak, or Peak gonna kill her, or maybe they kill each other? So many maybes. Right now, it does seem like Isayama has set up some beef between both of these females. As to whether one's gonna kill the other, it is possible. I mean, just thinking about it, Peak as a Titan would be the weakest one and potentially one that these guys could actually take out. It doesn't have any protection. Yelena right now is some type of leader figure. She would be helping Eren, which means trying to take out one of their distractions. The easiest Titan Team Yelena would be able to take out would be Peak's. Next question up from Tejas. Reiner has come for round 4. He didn't stand a chance in the last 3 battles against Eren, so do you think he could win this time around? So yes, I actually touched on this before. Reiner so far is what, 0-3 versus Eren? Let's just say that the odds aren't in the favor for the plot armor Titan. However, this time it's not one-on-one, so there's that. You got 3 Titans and Marley. Who knows what they're planning up there? What else did they bring? Didn't Marley have some anti-Titan weapons? At the very least, they should have something that could potentially crack or penetrate Eren. So for this, I'll just bring up what I mentioned earlier. That potentially Reiner has some plan to do this suicide mission, potentially to distract Eren and take him out. That might be the Armor Titan's biggest chance. Next question up from Johnny. You said that Eren's the father. I actually didn't. I recall saying that Eren has the highest chance of being the father. Not a 100%. After seeing how Yelena spoke about her pregnancy, that she's the one behind it, and knows the most about it's part in Zeke's plan, does that mean she's the person in the hooded cloak, right? If so, doesn't this confirm Eren is not the father? Early on in this video, I did have a whole section retouching on the whole Eren being the father thing. I just wanted to clarify the thing about Eren being the father. So no, I didn't say that Eren's the father. There's still other possibilities, at least that I'm open to. Next question up from Random AniFan. How did Porco know about Eren's coordinates on the rooftop so accurately? Well, technically it wasn't that accurately since he ended up screwing it up again. For this, really just think back to the jail cell. Peak explicitly mentioned going to the rooftop to actually point out the other guys. In other words, these guys had already set up the meeting location beforehand. At least for Peak's part of the job, she needed to get Eren to the midpoint of that rooftop. Then when she was actually going up the stairs, she explicitly let Porco know about this. Next question from Nikki. Do you still see Eren as the main character? We have no idea what's on his mind, and we haven't been seeing things from his point of view for a while. Attack on Titan is in a weird place right now where I don't know who we should be following. So a couple of things about this. Is Eren still main character? Yes. But the thing is, there isn't just one main character in the story, there's a bunch. Arguably right now, all the scouts are main characters. That includes Hunchy and Levi. But then also don't discount the Marley guys, especially Reiner. Post time skip, I do recall Isayama mentioning that they did want to flesh out the Marley side of things. That we would get to see them as the quote-unquote good guys, or at least in a positive light. Meanwhile, Paradise Island would be seen doing some questionable things. So far, I do think Isayama has been successful at that. As for who you should be following, I mean, ultimately that's going to be up to you. Follow who you want, or at the very least just follow the story. Next question up from Hyper Games. Who do you think eats who as Titan shifters in the possible final battle sequence? Assuming this is the final battle, we have all the Titans here minus the female Titan. Eren has 3 Titans on board. Ultimately, if the popular theory about Eren gathering all Titans is correct, then Eren is going to have a feast this final battle, potentially. As to which Titan is going to eat who, I'm hoping Isayama surprises us. I want to see other possible combinations. In other words, I want to see someone that's not Eren also eat another Titan. Imagine the Jaws Titan eating the Armored Titan, or vice versa. Maybe the Colossal Titan eating Peak. That would be interesting. So someone not Eren eating another Titan, that's definitely I want to see, but I kind of doubt Isayama is going to do that. Next question up from Coweb. Do you think Historia's pregnancy could be staged, possibly to keep her safe? We've only seen a couple panels of her as of recently, and we know little to nothing about the father, so how do we know that it's true? Will we hear something soon? Just like a lot of things post timeskip for Paradise Island, there's a lot of things right now that we're in the dark about. As to whether Historia's pregnancy could be staged, for this I'm going to say I highly doubt it, especially since we already seen the last panel of Attack on Titan. Some baby's gonna be born, and just who happens to be pregnant right now in the Attack on Titan story? I don't think Isayama's randomly gonna bring up some other baby. Next question out from Stefan. Do you think we'll see what's going on with Levi and Hunchy in the next chapter? Like I alluded to earlier, I think Isayama might be teasing us for a while about Levi and Hunchy. Next chapter, we might see only a panel shot of Hunchy looking at something, potentially looking sad or crying. If I did have to give an estimate, I don't think Isayama's going to go back to that for another 2 or 3 chapters. Next question up from What's a Kungus. Do you think Marley is at a disadvantage or advantage in this final Attack on Titan arc? So looking at the Marley side, they have 3 warriors, potentially 3 of the weakest Titan shifters. They do have some blimps here and there, and potentially some anti-Titan guns or weaponry. Meanwhile, on the Paradise Island side, they have tens of millions of Colossal Titans. I wonder who has the advantage. Not to mention Eren with the Warhammer Attack founding Titan. Marley is definitely the underdog right now. Next question up from Despair. Do you think Reiner got some special upgrade or secret power we haven't seen yet? For this, I'll give you 2 answers. No and maybe. The reason I say no is that since the attack on Marley, it's been a few months. I really don't think Reiner just secretly developed some new Titan ability within that short of a time period. On the other hand, for the maybe part, from the time skip it has been 4 years. In other words, the Armor Titan may have developed something else during all his time fighting, something that he didn't get to show off in the attack on Marley. So potentially there's that. I'm betting it's going to be something else involving plot armor. Next question up from Deathlord. Do you think Armin and the others will somehow escape? Yes. The scouts will find a way to get out. Next question up from Akuma. Is Eren gonna die in the upcoming battles? Battles? I mean, right now the popular idea is that Eren's gonna die by the end of Attack on Titan, which might be around chapter 130. Could Eren go down in this battle? As this battle does last, around 14 chapters? There is a good chance of Eren going down. Although chapter-wise, that's still at least a year off. Next question up from Luby. Do you think this is the final battle or the battle before the final battle? So this is something I actually touched on my review. Right now, all of a sudden you have Marley going in, and then you have all the Titans in one spot, minus the female Titan. It also is taking place at the very spot that the Attack on Titan story began, Eren's hometown. This very much smells like the final battle. On the other hand, if it's not the final battle, they would really have to wrap this up in 2 or 3 chapters, and somehow Marley would have to escape. The thing is, I really don't see that happening unless Marley just runs away to another part of the island at this point. So unless Isayama wants to do that really quickly, then establish that, then have the actual final battle take place in the last 5 chapters or so, maybe taking place inside of Walsina, this should be the final battle. Last question from Basir. Could the King Fritz be immortal, like when the dude with the royal blood gained the founding titan, the 145th King's memories take over, like the royal blood are now just hosts for him to inhabit? For this might be able to be its own video topic. Let me just say a few quick things. Do we think the King Fritz is immortal? Based on what we know about Titan memories and Titan powers, no, he shouldn't be immortal. However, somehow this guy made his Titan memories so strong, and also made this vague Titan path, that it influenced everyone going down. Perhaps this is something only achievable by royal blood members. Right now I would really just say that we still don't know too much about the Titan abilities. There's still so much that's still a mystery. Hopefully Sayama reveals more in the upcoming chapters. Anyway, that does wrap it up. If you did make it to the end, post down below. Tell me which is your favorite Titan. And do be sure to follow me on Twitter and tweet me your questions for the upcoming Attack on Titan 117 prediction video. You could go ahead and send me questions now. And if you did make it to the end, go ahead and check out my Patreon. Really consider becoming a supporter, especially me doing this full time. Link to that down below, and I'll see you guys later.